Did it, guys. Champions League. But boy, oh boy, does this team put you through the grinder every single time. It was a terrible game of football, but the bottom line is we are there based on a season, not one game. This is the Toon Review. Hi everybody and welcome back to the match reaction with myself, Paul. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said there in the intro, it was a dreadful game of football. We just did not turn up. Everything that we tried today just didn't happen. I don't know what the hell was wrong, but you could just tell it was going to be one of those games. We started off, first 5 minutes, I thought we looked bright. We looked really attacking as if we were going to go for the throat. But then as the game got on, Everton came into it more. And we just played dreadfully. Absolutely. A lot of those players today had a shocker. Now, you could put it down to a host of things, really. You know, you could say they're knackered. It's been a very, very long season. And a lot of those players are fatigued, they're tired, battling through injuries and things like that. Then you could say that nerves kicked in maybe a bit today, that we were always anxious and we couldn't really stay concentrated. But listen, who gives a shit, right? A few people that I saw in our Matchday Live show were saying, we don't deserve Champions League based on today. Well, it wasn't based on today, was it? It was based on the season. And the league table doesn't lie. The league table has us in 5th position and we qualify for the Champions League. Top 5 qualifies for the Champions League over the season. And that is what we've done. We can pick the bones out of this game as much as you want, but the bottom line is we have done it. We've had a remarkable season. We are Champions League next season. We are also Carabao Cup winners. I mean, if you'd said to any Newcastle United fan back at the start of the season, after that 1-1 draw at home to Southampton, you know, that Newcastle would go on and end their 70-year domestic trophy drought and then go on after that and qualify for the Champions League all in the one season, you would have snapped their hands off for that. Anybody would have. Anybody would have. It was an incredible season. Yes, a season of a lot of downs and a lot of ups, mainly ups. You know, Eddie was under pressure after that Brentford game. A lot of people started thinking, is he the man? He is the man. No doubt about it, he is the man. He was fuming after that game today, and rightly so. It was a terrible performance. We just didn't click. Not at all. And one man that probably wasn't expecting a performance like that was the manager. But look, I don't care if you were Eddie in, Eddie out. It doesn't matter. What the manager's there to do is, if you are wanting the manager out, then it's up to him to prove you wrong. And he did that. And those of you that said Eddie out have turned around and said good on the manager for changing their minds. Now it all turns, of course, to the summer. Who do we bring in? Who do we strengthen this squad? Because it's clear, and it was clear today, that some players really do need replacing. Callum Wilson, that was certainly a good buy at the end of the game. He was in tears. He was very, very emotional. And listen, we wish him well. I know we've slated him the last few games, but we know his body is not what it was after the injuries. And he came on today and didn't do very much either. So, but over the time he's been at Newcastle United, in some dark, dark times, he has been a shining light. And we wish Callum Wilson the very, very best. Whatever he does now in his career, he goes with our blessing, and we wish him all the best. But there's some other players quite clearly who could be leaving. Sean Longstaff didn't appear off the bench today. That could be another player gone. Joe Willock, for me, did nothing when he came on in the second half. Absolutely nothing again. How many times is he going to get an opportunity to shine and just not do it? He just doesn't do it. There was some very, very unsteady performances today, I think it's fair to say. But look, these players have done everything for Newcastle United this season, everything they possibly can, and brought us some wonderful, wonderful moments. And, the finish of it is that we get to play in Europe's elite competition next season. And, I saw a few comments in the Matchday Live show saying, it doesn't matter. We've still had a great season. We've won we get into the Europa League. It's not just about that. It's about the standard of players that Newcastle United are going to be able to go after next season. That quality of player, if we'd made the Europa League, we wouldn't get the Champions League players because that's where all the big names want to play. Europe's elite competition. And yes, we may well have gone on to win the Europa League, maybe not. And it was a way back to the Champions League, but we can't rely on that. Look at us today. We just rely on beating Everton, a very depleted back line for Everton, and we couldn't even do that. So there's no guarantees. There is never any guarantees with Newcastle United. That's a certainty. But the bottom line is you have to look back at the whole season. That's what it's all about. There's no ifs or buts, no hypotheticals. It is what it is. You finish fifth, that is where you deserve to finish. And we deserve to finish in fifth and be in the Champions League. That is our final position. We made it very, very hard for ourselves today. But look, Nick Pope made some great saves. It could have been worse for us, let's be honest. We didn't really lay a glove on them till late on in the second half. We started to pick it up a little bit. We went 4-4-2. We tried. We were knocking on the door a few times. But listen, it didn't happen. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. And there will be, certainly knowing Eddie Howe, the way he works, he will... he'll celebrate being in the Champions League. Of course he will. But he'll be very, very angry. You saw him at the end of the game today. It took him a long time before he put a smile on his face because he was furious with that performance. There's no doubt about it. And if you're Eddie Howe, you're looking at those players today thinking, what the hell? We've prepared all week for this game and we need the 3 points to guarantee us the Champions League. But we fall at the last hurdle, but we get out of jail because Aston Villa lost. And at the end of the day, we said that we didn't want to rely on other teams to do what we did today, but we have. But like I go back to, the league table does not lie. We finished fifth because we deserve to finish fifth. And Champions League is ours. And now we can look forward to an incredible summer. I think it's very important that, we'll do the match review on this game tomorrow. We'll do our player ratings and then we move on. It's forgotten about. What then starts to build up is the transfer window. We'll look back on a season review. We'll talk about the ups and downs in the season review show. We'll have a great time with that. There'll be transfer shows. Because what will happen now is players will get linked very quickly to Newcastle United. With this window opening at the start of June, this is our opportunity. And I think the way Eddie's been talking, certainly in his press conferences and recent interviews, that if we got Champions League, Newcastle would be busy in the 10 days that it opens before the Club World Cup. I think Eddie will want his players in. He'll want to get everything ready to go for pre-season. Yes, of course, there may be one or two come in after that, or when pre-season starts, or deadline day, when teams are panic selling because they're not quite within FFP restrictions or whatever it may be. So there's obviously going to be opportunity to sign players then, but I think the main bulk of the signings will be done very, very quickly. We will have to fight a lot of teams for a lot of big-name players, but the fact that we've got Champions League guys makes the whole thing very, very different. The whole thing different. Nobody's going to remember this game. Nobody is going to remember the game. What they will remember is a remarkable season. Let's be honest. Everybody will look back to the Carabao Cup win, the Wembley performance, the celebrations afterwards, and then, of course, qualified for the Champions League. It's been a brilliant season, and I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave about the performance. I'll do that tomorrow night in the review when we're specifically talking about that game, like we always do. But that's not the point. This match reaction's all about being very optimistic about what's to come. We played dreadfully today. Nobody's going to say otherwise. There's many different reasons for that. We just didn't turn up. We lost a game against a poor Everton side who nearly denied us the opportunity to get into the Champions League. It didn't happen. We're there. And I think we've got to be incredibly optimistic about the future of this football club now, because players will want to sign, players will want to stay. Eddie Howe is building something very, very special at this football club. And you saw the embrace he had with the chairman at the end of the game. And And hopefully the chairman sort of whispered in his ear, don't worry, Eddie, we're opening the checkbook for you, son, this summer. You're going to enjoy it. And, that Eddie was smiling when he was being congratulated by the chairman. We all know it was shit today. No doubt. But I'm looking at the bigger picture now. You've got to look at the bigger picture. You can't just sit and look at that game and say, we don't deserve it because of that game. That's nonsense, guys. Nonsense. And I'm sure that these people who were saying we don't deserve Champions League based on that performance, they'll not be saying that when we trot out to the Champions League anthem next season. That'll all be forgotten because it's based on a wonderful season that we've had. There's been some difficult times to get through. We've got them. We've dealt with the difficult times. We've got through them as a fan base, as a team, as a club. And now we move on to something very, very, very bigger than that, which is the Champions League. And hopefully a really good go in the Premier League next year. I'm not going to sit here and say, we're going to give the Premier League championship a go because, come on, let's be honest. We need to get the right players in. We'll see when we start the season where we lie with our squad. And then you can gauge a kind of idea as where we're going to be next season in the league. But there's so much to look forward to. So much to look forward to off the back of a shite performance. It's as simple as that. We were shite today, but we've got so much to look forward to, guys. And hopefully now the players get a good rest in the summer. Those of them that have been carrying knocks for weeks on end, get them cleared up and ready to fire on all cylinders next season because we know the squad needs an overhaul. We know we need a lot of players in. That is going to have to be a real point in the summer that we need players in. Few players out, but we need players in. We need to bolster that squad for the Champions League because the games are going to come thick and fast. And hopefully they've learnt the lesson from last time we were in the Champions League. Lessons must have been learned from that. But I'm sitting here absolutely delighted. I'm drained. I'm absolutely mentally and physically drained from doing the commentary on that game because my arse was twitching like a rabbit's nose from the very start. But that's what supporting Newcastle United is all about. It's all about the worry, the stress, the strain it puts on you from week to week. But come on, guys, we're Newcastle fans. We'd have it no other way. We love this bloody club. We absolutely adore this football club, even though it puts us through the mill on a weekly basis. But come on, let's celebrate rather than look at that game and think, oh, it was crap. We'll do that in the match review tomorrow when we review the game itself. But right now is a time for celebration and look back on a remarkable season. But let me know in the chat, is that what you're doing? Are you just looking at this game thinking, it's over, it's gone, it doesn't matter anymore because we're in the Champions League. This squad is going to be completely changed around in the summer. We'll come back next year looking very fresh, looking very different and go again. Or are you really saying, are you one of these people who thinks we don't deserve the Champions League because of that result today? I find that very baffling, but let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. As usual, if you have enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up. Very important for the channel. And of course, if you are new and like what you see, please do subscribe. It is free to do so. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show in the future. And we will see you very soon. But for now, we are in the Champions League by the skin of our teeth. But hey, lots of things to look forward to, guys. Very, very exciting summer. Have a great one tonight. We'll see you very soon. Take care.